Well, today's a very interesting day. Porsche announced a new 911 and it's different. It has the T-hybrid engine, and from a engineering perspective, it's amazing. From a Porsche heritage and kind of where the brand is going, I don't think it is. And I'm just gonna kind of dig into this as the owner of now my third Porsche. So real quick, for those who don't know, I had a GT4, I sold it, I had a 911 GTS, and then now I currently have a 718 GT4, which is sitting right next to me. And I absolutely love Porsche. I actually worked with Porsche. You can see behind me here on the computer. I actually did a project with them back on the Cayman platform for the 981. I absolutely love Porsche. I love everything that they stand for. However, I feel like with the 911, they are actually killing the brand heritage. And this is not just, clickbait, oh my God, it's a horrible vehicle. There's just little things about it that I truly I don't know where they're going with this. So first off, we have a hybrid. Not a fan of that. The sound obviously is lacking when obviously I haven't driven it, but I can just hear from videos and such. It's just not, it doesn't feel like it's there. It has the 3.8 engine, and that's awesome that they're upgrading it. But at the same time, I feel like the hybrid is kind of taking a step back on the sound and the overall experience of a Porsche. And then more importantly, just a couple of small things. With the GTS model, there's no manual. Now, that's what I had, was a 991.2 manual GTS, and I absolutely love it. The GT4s as well is a manual. I have driven the PDK, I enjoy the PDK, but manual should be an option. Now, they're saying that it's because of limitations in the system, so what they did is they actually put the hybrid engine inside of the PDK transmission, so it's all one continuous piece, which is cool from an engineering perspective. But it's also kind of worries me that it's going to be quite expensive to repair, as we know all these things need repairs at some point. But it's just, are we overcomplicating the system? Another thing, it's a minor gripe, but they ended up taking away the key. So you just have push to start. It is on the left side, which obviously is the homage to the race, but no more key is just, again, it's kind of weird. Like, why can't we have a key? But one of the weirdest things was Guards Red, which is kind of like the Porsche color. Like if you see a vehicle from the 80s to the 90s to current, Guards Red is a very popular color. In fact, my GT4 was that color. It is now an additional cost. So I don't know if they're just nickel and diming the customer. I don't know if it's because they've seen the open market where, you buy a Porsche over here, you go back over, sell it over there in 3 months and you make 30 grand. They probably want to, join in on that. But I feel like as someone who's owned a few of these now, it just feels like the 911 is losing its way. So from a performance perspective, the 911, specifically the GTS that they unveiled, I think it's awesome. It has over 500 horsepower between the electric motor, hybrid motor rather, and the ICE engine. But I feel like the sound is going to be lacking. Even in my 991.2, one of the reasons that I got rid of it was because there just is no sound. And I don't mean that it's silent, it's obviously not an EV. What we've expected the flat six to sound like, it just doesn't sound like that anymore. And I think, unfortunately, what ends up happening is you kind of, when you're driving it, it's just not a great experience. At least for me. I know some people that they have turbo cars and they absolutely love it. I just personally don't. I like a naturally aspirated, loud engine. Enter the GT4. Once again, it's, the GT cars are kind of where it is. Now, what's interesting about the 992.2 specifically for me is that I actually had an allocation for a .1, and I went through the process of pretty much building it. In fact, it was built, the configurator. And I was actually working with the Porsche team because it was a CXX, so I could put special options on it, some different trim pieces. It was going to be PTS. It was going to be insane. I was super excited about it. And I heard the .2 was coming out, and there was a rumor that it was going to go back to NA, which I truly didn't think it was going to happen. But I knew that I didn't like the .2 of the 991 generation. So everything I read said that the .1 of the 992 basically got quieter. And I'm like, okay, we're going in the wrong direction as far as I'm concerned. So I waited for the .2 to be announced. It was announced yesterday. And now I'm kind of in an interesting predicament where I may or may not even get an option, because I'm sure the list is a mile long, even having an allocation. I just don't even really think I want it, which is kind of strange to say because, who doesn't want to build a car? Honestly, I feel like the GT cars is kind of where I am, where I'm focused, where I like the most. They're loud, they're raw. You don't drive it to work, or maybe you could. So I think what I'll end up doing is I'll talk to my sales advisor, and I'll probably will hold my allocation for whatever the .2 generation of the GT3 is. I'm hoping that it's going to be NA. I'm hoping that it's going to be loud and raw. But there is a chance that it uses this hybrid setup or maybe more of one of the race-ready setups. And I'm just kind of curious, you know, get your thoughts in the comments. Do you feel like Porsche is kind of losing its way in terms of like, let's remove the technology aspect because they're doing cool stuff, but just as a driver's car, just a raw, visceral driver's car. And lastly, I'm going to shout out a channel that I recently found. His name's DasCayman. He just drives his Cayman as hard and fast as you can in Mexico, and it is friggin' amazing. And this is what you should do with your car. It should not have, you know, amazing Nürburgring times or a great fuel economy. It should just be a fun car that when you turn the key, you actually can experience a fun car that was built by the engineers. And I just feel like with this generation and probably the future generations, I just don't feel like we're gonna be there. And honestly, what is it, 2035, you're supposed to be electric. I know Porsche said that the 911 will not be electric. They're kind of one step closer to that. And I feel like at some point, regulations are gonna come into place where you can't have a gas vehicle. So I don't know where this is gonna go. I'm not gonna say I'm concerned because it's a first world problem. Like, oh my God, what Porsche do I buy? It's more or less, I'm just gonna enjoy the hell out of the GT4. Hope to be tracking it at some point this summer, maybe go on a rally or two and just kind of enjoy it for what it is. But even just daily driving it or just bringing it out on the weekends, it does everything I need, even at, I believe it's a hair over 400 horsepower. It sounds the part, it drives, and it's raw and visceral. So as always, I appreciate you guys checking out these videos. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Give me your thoughts on the 911, and I'll catch you in the next video.